me the creeps. I feel like something's watching us.
Savvy, you go right on quoting regulations.
Hello, computer.
I knew I would.
You betrayed your uniform!
Target their cargo hold. Time to take out the garbage.
Smooth as an android's bottom, eh, Data?
I beg your pardon, sir?
Aspires to be better than I
Come on. It's gonna be fun. 5 years in space. God help me.
This is the best day of my life!
A phaser? You didn't use it?
Swords are fun.
Program complete. Enter when ready.
Welcome back to another Retrek review, where each week we talk about Star Trek. And this week we're talking about episode 19 of season 1 of Star Trek The Next Generation. That episode is entitled Coming of Age. It originally aired March 14th, 1988. It was so-called written by Sandy Fries, but that's not true because it was rewritten and uncredited by Hannah Louise Shearer. And I believe that Hannah has also wrote When the Bow Breaks.
Any idea why she went uncredited? Or is that in trivia section?
No, I think it was just because Sandy, he wrote it and then she just rewrote it.
I thought you were going to say Roddenberry's lawyer wrote it, but
No.
then I remember, well, we'll get to it, but like the episode doesn't really suck, so I was like, couldn't be Roddenberry's lawyer.
It was directed by Mike Bajar. The funny thing is, this is the only episode that he directs of Next Generation, but he does go on to direct a lot of Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise. So, kind of funny.
Weird.
The synopsis for Coming of Age is, as Wesley Crusher faces the Starfleet Academy entrance exam on Relva 7, representatives from Starfleet Command conduct an exhaustive investigation into Captain Picard and the Enterprise D crew.
Yeah, they sure do.
Okay, here are our guest appearances. We have Ward Costello, who plays Admiral Gregory Quinn. We have Robert Schenken as Lieutenant Commander Dexter Remick. Now, Robert here, he received a Master of Fine Arts in Theater Arts from Cornell University in Ithaca, New York. So that's close to us. Yep. You probably got that in like the early 70s.
Yep.
In 1992, he received the Pulitzer Prize for a drama of his series of one-act plays entitled The Kentucky Cycle. So
that sounds riveting.
Yeah.
He's a really good actor because in this episode, all I wanted to do was just punch him in the face. So that's good.
Yeah. He co-wrote the HBO miniseries The Pacific.
Oh.
And the Mel Gibson film Hacksaw Ridge.
Nice.
Then we had John Putch as Mordok. John Putch also plays Sean Brody in Jaws 3D.
Oh, no.
Then we had Robert Itu as Lieutenant Chang.
Yeah, he was cool.
He has many roles in film and television as playing, like, basically Asian, like, mystery people. Like, he voices a lot of, like, ninjas and Asian doctors and, like, animated Superman shows and animated Batman shows and stuff.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Stephen Gregory as Jake Kurland. Tassia Valenza as Tashanik, the Vulcan. She goes on to voice the USS Shenzhou computer in Star Trek Discovery.
Hmm.
She also voices Shaak Ti in Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Oh,
She does a couple other Star Wars roles, something in Star Wars Resistance and something in Bad Batch. She was like a senator or something or a general in Bad Batch.
that's cool.
But probably the most notable thing is she voices Poison Ivy in the Batman Arkham series, as
Oh, no
well as,
way.
yeah, as well as Injustice 2.
That's pretty sweet.
It is pretty sweet. Then S.C. Chandler as Oleana Mirren. Brendan McCain as technician number one. I believe the one who's trapped under the.
Yeah,
And then Wyatt Knight as technician number two, who doesn't want to come out of the room.
yeah.
But lastly, here's an interesting one. Daniel Riordan, who played Rondon in the episode, the guy that gets angry with the finned hand.
Oh, yeah.
He plays the actual Turbo Man in Jingle All the Way.
We just were talking about that.
Yep. He plays Duras in Star Trek Enterprise.
Wow, that's great.
And then he plays Alduin from Elder
Look,
Scrolls V Skyrim.
wow, wow. This world.
Exactly.
That's great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So you'd like all that.
Yeah, I like all that stuff.
So that was our long-winded introduction. So now it's Caleb's turn to talk a lot and let us
Yeah.
know what he thought of the
Oh,
episode.
I'm gonna be so long-winded in this. This episode, let me tell you about those episodes. So, this episode's good. This episode's good. I liked it. There you go. No, yeah, no, I did. I did actually enjoy this episode pretty good. I thought it was kind of a nice little like departure from like really like serious stuff. Getting to see like Federation, like the testing for the Federation was really cool and interesting to me.
Yeah, yeah.
The stuff on the ship, like I have issues with, but I feel like you're kind of supposed to, and you're not supposed to like the guy Dexter. You're
No,
not supposed to like Dexter at all,
no, no.
and you don't, so that's good. And I really like Picard in this episode, and I honestly I really like Wesley in this episode, so that's great.
Yeah.
Because usually it's one or the other that are
It
just
wanted,
like,
yeah.
the frick, what the hell are you doing, Wesley?
Yeah,
So,
it's
so
funny
yeah,
how like almost all of the senior staff takes like a huge backseat to like the
they
main.
answer like two questions, is
Yeah,
what the
yeah.
senior staff does. Yeah.
It's really interesting because like pretty much Picard, Riker, and Wesley are like the main people of the show, and the rest are like have little small parts.
Yeah. Like, do you want to do Picard? Like, no. Okay. I'll continue my investigation elsewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, Robot Man, do you want to do Picard? Uh, yeah, so I'll give this
Here we go.
episode two Akutas.
Two Akutas.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's not a three,
No.
and it's not a
The
one.
dastardly Remick.
Nope. Yeah, he drops it down by one.
Just the fact that he's in the show.
Yeah. And I really like Mordock. He's cool. He's a cool design. It's always nice to see other alien creatures in the show. You know, the show about space. Yeah, I like that.
That's cool. That's cool to see an
Yeah.
alien.
Yeah, it's cool. We do get a very typical like Star Trek alien, you know, the guy in the hallway where he's like, "You bumped into me,
Oh yes.
your mother." And he's like, "Oh, yeah. I could tell by his like fingers that he's like a whatever from wherever."
Zaldin, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, "Oh, yep, that's right. Aliens.
Got him.
They're nothing like us, but yet a lot like us." And seeing a Vulcan again was pretty cool, I
Pretty
thought.
cool.
That is my biggest complaint about this show, honestly, is that Roddenberry made Spock like such a favorite fan character,
Hmm.
and then moving forward, he's like, no more Vulcans. I don't want to see another Vulcan as long as I live. But it was like he made him a fan favorite, and people love Spock and they love Vulcans. They love everything to do with it. And then the new show comes out, and he's like, ah, make a Klingon like in control of like comms or something. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care about any of that stuff. Engineer, nah, they don't need an engineer. You got Worf, he's on the bridge. There's a boy. There's a girl who has emotions or some, and then we'll then we'll do Picard. He hates kids. That'll be good enough.
That'll be what the fans really want.
The fans will love it. They'll love it. The security guard's a woman, but she has short hair. But she was in Playboy. That's pretty cool, huh, fellas?
Hey kids, don't you love that?
Don't you love Playboy? Yeah. What if we tell you every episode how sexually attractive she is? What if we have to? Nothing speaks more to that than having to specifically say to the audience, "Look at how hot she is. Isn't she beautiful?" Like every week. It hasn't. It's been pretty light, honestly, lately. So
It has been.
I can't make fun of it too much. But yeah, there you go. So there's my thoughts.
Well, before we move on to the review, let's first do our shout outs and YouTube comments. So, first off, yow! We want
Every
to
week.
thank Ed Mark Starr for his Patreon membership. He helps keep this afloat. As Caleb brought out, he is one of the ion engines that keeps this ship
Yeah.
going.
He keeps the reactor core running, that's for sure.
So we appreciate that. And if you want a cool shout out like Ed gets, or you want some cool things in the mail like Ed gets, head on over to our Patreon and select the tier that's best suited for you. We
Yeah.
even have Galaxy Quest watch along over there too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you should be jealous about the things that he gets because they're pretty sweet.
They are pretty sweet.
I don't even have the things that he has.
Nope, neither do I.
Nobody makes them for me, so
Nope,
even I have to become a Patreon to get them.
that's right.
Yeah, he'll be getting a new one shortly. This month,
Yeah,
well, this month anyway.
you should be. Yeah, we had a handful of new subscribers on the YouTube channel, but unfortunately, YouTube doesn't tell me who they are. But that's okay, because we thank you
For subscribing.
for subscribing anyways.
Yeah.
And then we had some comments on our previous podcast of Home Soil, and one user named Pandemoni.
Pandemonium, nice.
He offered some constructive criticism that we
The
beef
panda's
up
dead.
our guest star talking about section. So hopefully that was interesting this week. And he also said that he looks forward to watching the channel grow. So
Cool.
we thank you for that comment. We look forward to the channel growing as well.
This week's character, whatever you just said, was pretty good. There was a lot of stuff that's like cool.
Yeah,
I liked it. That I didn't know about, so that's cool.
that's right. Then we had one from our friend from the office. He says, "Thank you for explaining your absolutely bonkers rating system. I've
I still don't really get it, if I'm being.
Well, he says he's got it now, so you'll have
Okay,
to
good.
explain, he'll
I'll
explain
have
it
to
to you.
call him.
Yeah.
So next week I'll call him on Wednesday and like, hey, can you just give me a rundown here on this, right? Thanks for explaining your bonkers. It is a little weird. It is
I
a little
love it.
weird.
I love that it's absolutely insane.
It fits for season one, that's for sure. Oh
He
my
said,
God, that's funny.
he says, one of the better episodes of season one.
Yeah,
Overall, we agree. He says that we riffed well and that he enjoys our show as always.
we do rift well.
And then lastly, but not leastly, if that's even a word,
It is now.
we have a comment from Ed Starr himself. He says Home Soil is a 1988 next gen episode that reminds him of a 1964 episode of The Outer Limits entitled
Mm.
Counterweight. He says Earth scientists locate a lifeless planet called Antheon that is perfect for terraforming and colonization. But when the actual life forms of Antheon learn of Earth's plans, they make themselves visible to the first group of colonists with the retort, "Do we look lifeless to you now?" And then engage in delightful trash talk, calling all humans overgrown children scared of space monsters.
True.
Better to stay on Earth hiding in your rooms.
Wow. So we
Home
know what rooms
soil.
it.
Yeah. Home soil also has a dressing down scene for the human race. There's something refreshing about having aliens tell us to go cry to your mama. She's also made of water and just as ugly.
Ah, yeah. Oh, that's good.
It
Oh,
is
it
good.
really hurt. Yeah, so I
uh
saw his comment and I was like, "Oh man, I love The Outer Limits." And then I was like, "Wait a minute, 1974."
oh
I'm
yeah.
like, "What?" So, so obviously The Outer Limits that I knew and grew up to was like
Yeah.
a revamp
Yeah, exactly.
of a 70s show. Like that's crazy to me. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like when the Twilight Zone came back, like in the 80s.
Oh. See, but I remember the black and white Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
But I remember the newer Outer Limits from like the 90s maybe.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
Because they used to watch it pretty good. So you know what's crazy? Not to get on a tangent, but so
Okay.
as like a teenager, like a late teenager, there was this episode of The Outer Limits. It became like an urban legend in my house.
Oh,
So my mom saw it and she was explaining it to me, and I was like fascinated by this
okay.
episode. And
Okay.
I never saw it because it never like played again. Um,
Oh,
it was like, oh yeah, if you ever see that episode, let me know and we'll watch it. And it was literally like that was the era where like you had to like watch TV and be like, oh hey, this episode's on. Because there was no even like DVR wasn't a thing yet. No
right.
internet
Right.
as far as like, that kind of thing. So like I had no way of like finding it. So I think it was like last winter I was
Oh,
scrolling through and I can't remember if it was Netflix. Anyway, Outer Limit is on there, like all the seasons. And I was like, oh my God, I had this like brain blast. And I literally was able to like Google the description of the episode that my mom gave me and
oh,
find out what the title of the episode was. And I went on and I watched it. And it was like this thing,
wow.
this like full circle moment for me
Yeah,
because of
yeah,
the internet, because of how the internet is now. It
yeah,
is just it's crazy to think about that. And it
yeah.
was a
Like,
good episode. It stands up. It's really good. But it was just this thing my mom would explain it to me and she was like, "Yeah, and then like when he's not looking at her, he can like he like smells this like awful smell and then like you can like when she like walks away, she makes this like
I,
noise."
I see.
Yeah. And I was like, "What? I gotta see this episode." I never saw
Yeah.
it. Never saw it.
That episode is from season two, episode seven, entitled First Anniversary.
That's it. Oh, you nailed it. Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. There's my little outer limit story for you. It's another great sci-fi show.
That was our shout outs and thanks, because we thank you all for your comments, your subscriptions, your likes, your views. We appreciate it. So with that, it's time for the review. Yeah, so it's really funny when what I wrote down was alone when they first that was the word I wrote for when before the intro starts, and it was the admiral coming off the transporter pad, and
Oh yeah.
he's like, oh, I'll talk to you, and then he's like, oh sure, yeah, we'll meet you in the ready room. He's like, alone, and he's like, well,
That's not really procedure, but
yeah, it's like if you're gonna tell me, you can also tell my first officer alone. I'll speak to you alone.
yeah. No, Picard is like, is it a personal matter? He's like, oh no, this is a Starfleet high security issue. And he's like, well, then my crew should be like, no, just you. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So when this episode started, I will like full disclosure, I
Hmm.
was like, oh, here we go. Another
Oh,
crazy Starfleet admiral.
yeah,
I haven't
yeah,
seen this before. This will be good. I don't know how these admirals keep getting in charge of admiral jobs, but like, oh,
yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah, it gets kind of right to it, I think too. It kind of just as
Yeah.
immediately sets up that like Wesley's going to the Starfleet Academy like recruitment center or whatever training facility, and then this guy boards the vessel, and it's immediately like, oh, well, I gotta see what happens.
Yeah, we used to be friends a long time ago. Then he immediately gets on and he's like, I need to speak to you. This ship is under full investigation. And Wesley tells his buddy there that he's sorry that he's smarter and brillianter and handsomer than
Cooler.
he is.
Yeah, of course.
And he's like, that's okay, Wesley.
Oh,
I
it's
know it.
okay. And then he just stands there sad.
You know it. I know it.
We get that cool shot of the exterior sites, training site there. That was a
Yeah,
cool.
it is cool. It is cool. That's what I mean. Like, I really enjoy seeing like the Starfleet stuff, like the actual training facility. Like that was all cool to me.
It was. And it was probably even cooler because, like you said, we got to see not only a Vulcan,
Hmm.
but new alien, a Benzite.
Yeah. So the stuff, like the little thing under his nose,
Oh, yeah.
is that I'm guessing that his species is from like a water environment.
I think they go on to explain what it is. Obviously, they didn't in this episode, but yeah, it's like it's not water. It's giving him a different gas to breathe.
Okay. I
Mhm.
assumed it was like water turning into like vapor to keep him
Yeah.
like wet, essentially.
Yeah, it doesn't even say what it is. It just says they are unable to breathe a standard oxygen nitrogen atmosphere and were required to wear a breathing apparatus in those environments.
Yeah, that's
So,
cool. I do think, though, if I'm being honest, I do think that would probably hinder him from doing certain things.
yeah, he likely would have like a hardship if like that thing broke.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Like the ship gets rocked and that thing like gets smashed. Like,
Right.
oh, I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah. I thought the scene where Remick and Riker butt heads, that was kind of funny.
I did like that. I like Riker giving him the business.
I think is this the sequence where he's Remick is standing there and he's like punching things in and Data's like, "Can I help you?" And he's like,
Yeah.
"Nope. Just keep doing what you're doing." And he goes over to Jordy and Jordy's like, "Hey, nothing really interesting's happening, so like you don't gotta stand here." And he's like,
Yeah.
"Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm."
Yeah, and then Riker's like, is there anything? And he's like, I'll ask you when I am ready to ask you. And then when he is ready, Riker's like, nah, I don't got time for that. And he's like, I'm ordering. And he's like, nah, I got duties, yo.
It's cool. It's cool how they kind of are fleshing two things out at once. It's interesting. I think the A story is considered Wesley going to the training facility, and I think
Hmm.
the B story is Remick, but it's interesting how they're both like actually kind of captivating to
Yeah, this was
follow
honestly the
along.
first time where there was like an A and a B side that I was like interested in both for
Yeah,
once. Usually it's just like the B is just kind of to fill the show
right,
out.
right.
But no, I liked I liked both stories.
Yeah, I like how it generally kind of paced itself too. It was nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. It was good. Even that moment where Wesley talks to Worf was like really good.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then they kind of play into it by like when he does do his psych eval, it was very much like after you learn something on the Enterprise from the Admiral about like espionage essentially that's taking place. And you're like, oh man, this is crazy that this is happening while Wesley's doing this test.
Oh
But you're
yeah,
kind
it
of
was.
like, obviously, like you kind of know as the audience that like this is the test.
Yes.
But it kind of played in well where it was like you kind of learned stuff that was going on and then that kind of happened. So it kind of like sets it up so you don't really know. You don't like you're not overly sure like what's
R-
really going on.
Right, right.
But I liked that. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, they really do have a like an actually it was nice that Worf had like actual nice dialogue.
Yeah. Yeah, his scenes were great this episode.
It
That
was
yeah.
yeah, it wasn't him just like I'm angry.
I'm Klingon. No, that's the thing. And I think that's why I always go back to like Spock is because like if you're gonna take out Spock or a Vulcan character and
Right.
give us this new alien that like we don't really know too much about, like let us learn about him, you know?
Yep.
So this episode getting to hear Worf like first of all like actually talk to Wesley, not just blow him off, was great. And him saying that like he still struggles with his fear of feeling like he needs to do everything himself. And I was like, that's really good. Like that's really great. Like I enjoy that about his character.
Yeah,
He like fights that Klingon side of him that's like I have to do it. It won't only be right if I do it. The whole teamwork thing is a mystery.
yeah. I mean, other than some, some tighter writing and a little bit more interesting A and Bs, like it's funny how this is I would say generally how Star Trek is, like Next Gen is going forward.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's a little less, I don't want to say corny. It's not really corny, just like like flat. It's not as flat.
Yeah. Well, that's why this episode feels the way it does, because it feels like it's kind of back to the Star Trek formula, where it's
Yes.
like something's going on, but we also have time to like, have Kirk and Bones have like a heart to heart, or
Yeah. Yeah.
Spock and Jim, you can see like their friendship through the trial.
Yeah.
Something's going on, they talk to each other like openly. And that's a thing that I think has been lost with this new crew. And I think you can chalk that up to like them trying to discover how everything functions on the ship. I mean, that's the thing that I always try to remind myself when I'm watching an episode is like
Mm.
this is their first like few months
Yeah, true.
of being together on the Enterprise. Like, I expect everybody to be like Kirk and Bones and Spock, but like they're not. They don't have that familiarity really. They're not like a family yet.
Very true.
And this episode starts to feel like that. I mean, I think that's even what Dexter writes in his report is that the ship is very like family familiarity,
Mm.
basically.
Yeah. I thought it was funny that Oleana calls Wesley obnoxious, basically. I know she says that like, oh, you're cute, she says, but if you weren't cute, basically, you would be
Yeah.
obnoxious. And I was like, that's funny.
That's the nicest thing anyone has ever said to me.
Yeah.
You'd be really obnoxious and awful if you weren't so cute. Did you hear
Uh,
what she said, Modoc? No. He's like, I'm a fish. I don't understand.
I have no feelings.
Do you like, is that good?
What is this word cute?
Cute. On my planet, the cute creatures are usually eaten as a delicacy.
I thought, and maybe you agree, it's fine. It was like it's fine that it happened. I'm not upset that it happened, but it made me laugh that Riker's like intense attitude towards Remick was clearly only for the commercial break because he
The
comes out
stare
of the
off
ready
and yeah.
yeah, he comes out of the ready room and Remick is like, okay, Commander, I'm ready. He's like, not right now. I have duties. And they yell at each other, and the door closes. The turbolift door closes, and then it's like the music lingers on Remek's face of being like,
Yeah, like
I can't
I
believe he
can't
just did
believe,
that.
can't believe.
And
How
then we come
dare
back
he?
from commercial, and he's all like smiley and happy, and he comes back on the
Mhm.
bridge, and Remek's like, "Are you ready now? Like, are you ready now? Is your duties ready?" He's like, "Yes, I am. Let's go in." And it's like, oh, it's like they're very cordial with each other, and I was like,
Yeah, it was clearly like drama for the commercial, but he intensifies it again when he starts asking about Picard. He's
Picard, yeah,
like, "Yeah,
yeah,
Picard should be here if you're gonna ask questions about Picard."
that's how we like him.
Yeah, yeah, I like Riker in this episode a lot. I like him yelling at this little pencil pushing dweeb, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. This is also when he gets into this thing, we get the famous leg over the chair.
yeah, that's right,
He's
Riker.
he said in yeah, exactly, yep. He said in many interviews that he did that because his back really hurt to get that low into like the
Ah,
chairs. So he just
yeah, I
would
bet.
like weirdly straddle and then sit like just go straight down.
Yeah, that's really funny.
I did think, which was nice, which was like this is what one of the things I like about later Star Trek, and more than the original series, is that like in this sequence when Remick is going over the logs, which is kind of decent,
Yeah.
it's like calling back to previous episodes.
And it's not just the episodes that we see, it's
Right.
legitimate stuff. So let's just get into this because I have
Okay.
probably this is maybe a complaint that I have from this episode.
Okay.
So the thing that you were just were talking about was that he's going through all the logs and he's like, this doesn't add up. This doesn't add up. Like, why did
Uh,
this happen with these aliens? You
yeah.
you disobeyed a direct order to save Wesley. Like, why? How did this happen? And it's like, this is the thing about Starfleet that like irritates me. He's asking these questions like this is like all made up to hide something that Picard is doing. And it's like, how do we not know as Starfleet, like in this time period, that like space is crazy? Stuff
Oh,
happens in space constantly. It's just weird. There's just weird stuff that happens in space. Picard gets like his mind taken over by the Ferengis.
right.
But you're saying that like, well, that makes him mentally unstable. It's
Yeah.
like things happen in space. I get that like, yeah, it's not great and the ship was in danger, but like what okay, then don't send ships out to space. I don't understand what you're talking about.
I think I think really what it boils down to is like two things. Is one, at the end when he comes into the room, the admiral has him come into the room with Picard, and he asks for his report, and he's like super chill and like kind
Yeah.
and like nice, and he says all these really nice things about the crew and Picard and the running of the ship, and he couldn't
Yeah.
find anything. I think if you take the realism part of it, I think they were writing him to just push those people to
Yeah.
get them to like maybe say something that would reveal that Picard is compromised in some way or someone
That
on the crew is
they didn't
compromised.
really like serving under him or something.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Or something that did happen in the log like had a different reason because of this thing. That's like
I did feel that way towards the end, like you're saying. Like it was very much like he's being like a bad cop to get like the
yes.
truth out of people. Yeah.
But I think that's like the real in-world take of the character. Now, the like our real world take of it, it's clear that they don't want you to know what's happening on the ship.
Mm.
They want you to be just as confused and upset as like Picard and Riker are, and the crew to be. You're like, why are you harassing these people that we enjoy? And also, it's like really good content to keep people watching the station, right?
Mm.
Because this guy is like tearing apart the crew. So it's like this weird mix of, because to be honest, even though I like it, him coming into the room and being like a 180 character from what he just was doing with like Worf and Crusher and Riker and
Yeah,
Picard is so weird. It's like,
it is.
well, what the
Yeah.
heck? Like, who is this
What's
guy?
wrong with this guy? Yeah.
Right. Like you're the guy, you're the one who seems like he's got something
Because
going
he
on.
he plays it like he really enjoys being the douche, like
Yeah,
he
yeah,
really enjoys it. So that was my complaint. The other thing, and I let slide because to me it's Picard following protocol
yeah.
and like trusting in Starfleet.
Hmm.
So I don't care if this guy is like my friend or not. If somebody comes onto my ship and says, "Hey, we're gonna turn this thing upside down. We're gonna look at everything, and we're looking for something specific," and Dexter even brings up like, "Oh, so you just had this Starfleet guy come on board and mess with the computers, and it was horrible." I was like, "Yeah, Starfleet ordered it." But so now, as Picard, if that's happened before, somebody comes on board my ship and says, "I'm going to look through every single file. I'm going to mess with all your crew." I am immediately getting on the phone with like Starfleet headquarters. This admiral is on board. He's asking to do this, and this. Like, is this a thing that you want done, or is it not a thing you want done? Because I don't
Yeah,
feel comfortable with it, but I want you to tell me that he's not just using his
right.
authority as an admiral to come on board and do this stuff.
Yeah. I think, you're 100% right. And I think the way that the writers try to get around Picard not doing that is making the guy like a friend or an acquaintance of Picard so that he gives this guy more
Yeah.
leeway than he probably would give in general.
Yeah, I did. I did think that. And I think that's why I let it go. He gets
Right.
to the point too, like later on, where he's like, the only thing I'm guilty of is letting this charade continue, and he like leaves the room. And I was like, there you go.
Yeah, and then also the line where he says that this has really put a strain on our friendship. And he's like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, it has. Anyway, do you want to come and work for me?
Oh.
He's like, oh, and be around children. Oh my God. I thought you knew me. I hate children.
I hate children.
I am.
Well, we'll get into that. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
before
So
I do
anyway,
that,
that was legitimately like my two things.
the hangups. That's what
And
stopped
I
it
was
from
just like,
being a three.
exactly.
Well, I thought you would enjoy seeing a shuttle. Hmm.
Yeah, I did enjoy like seeing the shuttle.
Yeah. But you have to admit,
Yeah.
and maybe that's what you're doing with your joke, is that the taking of the shuttle feels incredibly random and just a sequence for a commercial
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
break. It was like, oh,
And then he's
okay.
like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm leaving the ship.
He's like, because I can't talk to my father
I
anymore.
can't talk to my daddy. My daddy said if I don't go to Starfleet Academy, I'll never be better or braver or smarter or more handsome than Wesley, so I'm leaving the ship. Don't search for me."
And just to prove that this is what it is, we'll say this is the halfway point where you can go down to the comment section and you can write.
Grand Theft Shuttle.
Yeah, there you But yeah, we come back and then it's like the shuttle, it's like, well, let's use the tractor beam on it. And it's like,
Nope.
no, he's
Too
too
far.
far away to use the tractor beam. And I'm like, oh, really? And it's like, oh, but he's 78 seconds away from entering the atmosphere. And
Yeah. Like,
it
wow,
like, so
oh,
you
the Enterprise is really close to this planet.
like, so you can't move. The Enterprise can't move that quickly.
No.
I was like, this is very convenient writing. Very
God, God, no. Yeah, and so all this does is it just proves that like Picard is a capable captain,
yes, right.
which we as the audience already know. And it doesn't really change anything about Dexter. He's like, "Oh, that was amazing. I thought for sure." Hey, you
Yeah, yeah.
you still haven't showed me these reports.
I think, and I think retrospectively of like thinking about the scene where he's like softer, I think maybe retrospectively this shows that he's really a nice guy because he's also like nice. and
Yeah.
he's like really happy, and then he goes like, "Wait a minute, I can use this as an opportunity to like
Oh,
pull at some strings here and like try to maybe
he's
uncover something."
serious. Yeah, he's serious
Right.
about his job, you know.
I think maybe
Yeah,
that's the point of it.
I really hate having like anybody like this on the bridge in these scenes. I've come to realize, you know, like how
Yeah,
many times
yeah,
have we seen this in Star Trek where it's like this guy is on the bridge and he's like, you're not doing that, Captain, because I'm in charge." And it's like, no, no, you either shut up or get off the bridge, basically. So I was happy that Picard actually told him
yeah,
that, like,
yeah.
because the part where he's like, how would somebody get it in control of the shuttle pod? And then they're like, oh, that's what's his name? And he's like, a child got a shuttle pod? And he's like, yeah, but he's like a Starfleet cadet, like he's one of our brightest.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. He's like, Picard, you're responsible for this child's life, just so you know. He's like, oh wow, really? Wow, yeah, I'll have to really think about this now. I wasn't expecting to be in charge of being responsible for my crew member's life.
How interesting.
How now that you said that though, whew, man,
I
better
should
figure this one out.
I should reconsider everything.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, thanks, dude. Obviously, if this shuttle explodes, even though this kid stole it, it's my responsibility as the captain. Yeah, yeah, I know that.
How did you do it, sir?
Simple gravity, number one.
This, you know what? This shows that Picard is a great pilot because he can tell other people what to do.
Exactly. So he basically just proved that he should be doing
The
Geordi's
sausage
job.
impression.
It is good though.
Yeah,
I
oh
did.
yeah, it's not bad. It's
It's
not
a good
bad.
scene. Yeah,
It's
it's a
just
good
funny.
scene. It's
Yeah.
just funny. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So when you got to the
Um,
Zaldan scene in the hallway and you saw the webbed little thumb hand, were you like, nice?
yeah. I like this guy. So wait a minute. You're saying that everything can be a test when we're here to test any time, anywhere could be a test.
But yeah, and the funny thing was is when they're standing there in that scene, when you look at the background, it was clearly just a hallway painting like illusion,
Yeah.
where it's just like this hallway goes on for hundreds of feet,
Forever. Yeah.
but in reality, it's only about 8 feet away from the actors.
I just enjoy the idea of like this scenario happening and then like their teacher is like hiding behind the corner.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, got
Like,
him,
what's he
got him.
gonna do? What's he gonna do?
Oh, he passed the
Oh,
Zaldan
he
test.
comes around the
Oh.
corner. He's like, "Very good job, Wesley. Very good job. I was watching from the shadows."
Well, I hope you love the Zaldan race because we see so much more of those people.
I'm sure we do. Yeah, looking forward to it. Yeah, and obviously we see more of Mordak's race because you were looking it up. You don't even know what the
Yeah,
thing
lots.
is. You don't even know what the chemical is that he has to inhale. So
Oh,
that's
yeah,
good.
there's tons of benzites and
So
stuff.
definitely tons of lore coming up about these guys. And
Yeah,
yeah, he's only the first, of his kind in Starfleet. But yeah,
nah.
screw it.
I thought the Data and Remick scene was fun. I enjoyed that, where he's
I
like,
did. He's using logic to tell him to go pound salt.
yeah, he's like, well, it doesn't matter if it's acceptable or not.
That is the
That
truth.
that doesn't matter.
If you don't accept it, you're an idiot.
And then I thought the one of the really good scenes before a couple of other decent scenes that to come. I honestly really enjoyed like Dr. Crusher and Remick when he like
Hmm.
presses her about. She's like, "Well, how do you feel about this?" And then she just kind of laughs at him, like one, uh, that's between me and Picard, and two, like it's not actually any of your business.
Yeah, it's funny because he's talking about it like, oh, you must really kind of hate him because he got your husband killed. And it's like, meanwhile, she actually, it's like, it's played out like she's actually like in love with him.
Yes, yes, it has to. I have to play it out like that.
Yeah. Well, she's a woman.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah. I'm getting it. I'm getting it.
Well, I mean, We did off camera see her grab him. So
Well,
oh,
I saw it on camera. Roddenberry's just like, yes, yes.
oh. Uh, I thought the Mordock and Wesley dynamic relationship test was a good scene where he helps Mordock like figure out that puzzle test thing and
I did like
allows
that.
allows him to win just by a few seconds. Yeah.
I like their relationship, like you said. I enjoyed that even Mordock was still like it's not fair. Like Wesley helped me. And I was waiting for the whole like, well, that's the thing is Starfleet, you sometimes your best interest is to help your fellow crew member.
Yeah.
And that's why like Wesley was gonna win because he helped other people above himself, which is basically Starfleet.
Yeah.
But they're like, oh no, no, Modoc, you won.
No, no, no.
You had more points than Wesley. Yeah, he left the other guy in the room.
Yeah. He got both of the guys out.
I just picture Mordoc's like psych test being like, oh my God, it's a rabbit. Hey, I am so scared of rabbits. And then meanwhile, Wesley has to like save the whole star base, and they're like, but you didn't save them both. You failed. Get your
Maybe his maybe Mordoc's psych test was his breathing apparatus breaking and he had the
Yeah, I can go with that because when he came out of the room, remember?
yeah, he was yeah.
He's like, are you okay? And he's like,
I will be.
I will be. You'll see.
You'll
You'll
see.
all see.
I'm sure you did too. I really thought Remick wanting to be aboard the Enterprise was quite funny.
It was very funny. And I
He's
also like how Picard was like, there's not a snowball's chance in hell they'll have you on board.
yeah.
Because even the Admiral's like, oh, he's a nice
Yeah.
young man.
Yeah. And Picard's like, yeah, I'm sure he is.
Don't hold it against him that I was using him for my own personal goals.
He's like, yeah.
And he disturbed your whole ship, and he was really
No.
annoying, and everybody hates him. I'm sure he'll fit
Yeah.
in very well here with your tight-knit family.
He was like, yeah, I'm not really holding it against him. And he's like, well, don't hold it against me.
Yeah.
So did you like how this resolved with the investigation? Did you
You
enjoy it?
know, I don't really know how I feel about it, if I'm being honest with you. I think it's a good plot twist, but I
Mhm.
also think it's like so kind of like over the top to ask like an old friend of yours to like come work at the training facility. Like it's a you really
Yeah,
don't need to go through all that. I mean, like he said, there's a thing going on, if that's really true,
right.
which I don't really understand if it was based on this conversation, but
Right. He just kind of indicates that so either an outside thing is influencing something in Starfleet or something on the inside is influencing Starfleet.
yeah, but then at the end, Picard's like, "Hey, if you need help, call me." And he's like, I think I've been in politics too long, and I view everything very conspiratorial." So it's like, is that him saying like, "No, I lied about the whole thing just to get your attention"?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's
I
just,
don't
it's just kind of weird.
yeah, I can see that.
If there is, I mean, that's interesting. Like, if there is like espionage in Starfleet like that, that's an interesting story.
Hmm.
But we'll never see it again.
Wouldn't
Picard
that
will.
be interesting?
I hope we do.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
It would be interesting, actually.
Well,
That would require writing.
that sounds like you're waiting for trivia.
Oh, not again. Now you're overacting.
So we got a couple bits of trivia this week. We'll start with this episode was Maurice Hurley taking over the job of showrunner from Gene Roddenberry that we talked about last week. So Maurice was concerned that the show's writing process had stalled under Roddenberry's leadership.
Why? Because they keep doing the same stories from the first season of TOS.
Possibly.
Weird. That's weird.
So he personally paid for a holiday for Gene Roddenberry and Majel Barrett
Oh
to
my
go
God,
on,
that's
that
crazy.
under
crazy.
under the guise that Roddenberry had the understanding that Maurice Hurley would take over while he was gone, while both of them were gone.
Yeah. Don't worry, Gene. I bought you an all-expense trip paid to Sandals, Jamaica. We're not even going to write anything while you're gone. Star Trek as a whole is on hiatus. You enjoy your trip. No need to worry about anything.
Yeah, pretty much. And then upon Gene's eventual return, he opted to leave Hurley in charge of the writing staff. So,
Oh, well, so he kind of gained his trust and
yeah.
Well, seems like you know all about the skirt length and women's needs, so
Yep.
you can just do it. You know what I mean when I say do it, right?
Get it?
Yeah. Hi, one last Roddenberry for you. Anyway, have a fun time writing the show.
The episode was nominated for an Emmy Award in the category of Outstanding Achievement in Makeup for a Series in 1988
Cool.
for namely Michael Westmore, Werner Kepler, Gerald Quist, and Rolf John Kepler. There is a scene cut for time that showed Wesley and the whole bridge crew celebrating his 16th birthday.
Wow.
The script named the location of the scene as Deck 21 Forward Lounge, which was probably an early predecessor of 10 Forward, which we will see later in the show. The scene also featured a short, humorous bit where Data asks Worf how Klingons celebrate their birthdays, and Worf replies that they do not celebrate their birthdays.
Obviously.
Data then asks him how does he know how old he is, and Worf replies he doesn't know how old he is, and asks
my God.
Data how does he know how old he is, and Data says that he has no age.
Wow, these are great.
These
I
are
don't know why this
great.
got cut. I can't believe this got cut.
All right, let me show you some cool pictures.
Nice.
Check this out.
Ooh.
Ooh, that's the
Sweet.
original matte painting of the
Mm.
facility that's hanging up in one of the senior special effects homes.
That's cool. Oh, so that's cool that he has it. I figured it was a painted still. They added some ships flying around.
And then the other one is this.
Isn't it cool though that that's all techniques from ILM basically?
Oh, yeah, totally. And I'll share this.
Ooh.
So that's what they actually see.
So it's all blue screen?
Yep.
How does the blue light not reflect?
I would assume
It looks like
that
it does.
it does, and I would assume that when they're facing this direction, this is when this thing is in, and when they're not, when they're just they're showing Picard looking at it, it's probably just a
It's
wall.
off, yeah.
Yeah.
But you can see blue on their shoes.
Yeah. I want
You
to
can
say
negate that by adding blue lighting to the bridge. Just have the bridge have blue lighting and just call it a day.
I also think now that I remember that when it's not this shot, this wall is gone and this is where all the cameras are. The cameras are right here.
Oh, that makes sense.
And then when they do it, they have to wheel the camera onto the bridge and then face out this direction and put the wall back on.
I wonder if they that blue screen was 20 feet away, out. You could fit a camera in there to film and then move it and still have the blue screen. Just make it a forced perspective thing.
Oh yeah, maybe they shoot through this hole. Maybe that's where the cameras are. They shoot through
Yeah.
the hole. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. It's been a
But
minute since I've
the screen
seen.
is far enough away where like the camera can fit between the screen and
Yeah,
the hole. That's
yeah,
cool. I love production stuff like that. It just fascinates me how stuff is.
yeah. I figured you would enjoy that.
I did enjoy it, so thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
My whole day has become much better.
Much better. Well,
Now,
last
if you
part of
excuse
trivia.
me, I have to go disappoint an old friend.
I thought you were gonna say an old woman.
No, God, no. An older woman.
So, the last bit of trivia is Robert Justman, another head writer person, producer.
Yes.
He suggested several changes to improve the episode flow and cut costs in a December 21st, 1987 memo. He included adding an orbital shot to open the episode, noting that a cut to Wesley and Worf in a calm, quote unquote, calm program on the holodeck may confuse viewers and may be unnecessarily costly. Instead, he recommended shooting in a corridor or the observation lounge, but they ended up shooting the scene in an empty holodeck grid.
I kind of like that. I like the empty holodeck. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, me too. You'll like this, but not gonna like it. He also
Yeah.
suggested a single scene featuring Argyle be
Mm.
adapted for one of the regulars rather than bringing in an additional actor. So basically, instead of having the guy who's played the chief engineer come in and reprise his role and be
Hmm.
questioned by Remick in the engine room, they were like, nah, we'll just have Geordi go down this elevator lift and he'll talk to him for a couple of seconds because we're already paying LeVar Burton.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, very good. Well, we come back from trivia, and my first question to you is going to be, did you know it was a test?
I
I
was
mean,
leaning that way. Yeah.
mm, mm. All I just thought about you like the entire time when he gets into the room and he's like, no, no, my legs. And the other guy's like, I can't do it.
I'm
I
too
can't.
scared.
Yeah. All I
Too
could think
scared.
about was like the voices that you do and like the
Yeah.
two of these two guys going back and forth. Like,
So when the guy was yelling that he couldn't move and he was scared, I was like, "Pff, this guy must not have passed his
yeah, his
psych
side of it.
test."
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not hurt. You're not hurt.
Yeah.
You can do
You can walk. You
it.
can leave. No. No, cat. I thought it was funny too how Wesley was like, "Oh, is the last test the psych test?" He's like,
Yeah.
"Well, it's more of a psychological brain chemistry evaluation, but yeah, you could psych test is fine."
Yeah. Yes.
It was like you just said the same thing, just longer.
Yeah. And then the other thing I like too is later in the episode after he has that little bit, he goes, "Yeah, it is now time for the psych test." He like really emphasizes it. Yeah, made me laugh.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's funny.
So we kind of like briefly touched on it, but were you happy with Murdoch advancing or no?
Yeah, I think that's cool. I'm happy not giving it to Wesley. I think that's fine. I enjoy him not just being amazing at everything he touches
Right,
every single
exactly.
time. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah. That's how I felt too. I like how he's like, "No, Wesley, blah blah blah." And it's like, "No, it's okay." It's like there was more wrong with Wesley than just timing.
yeah.
And then he's like,
Mostly his face,
yeah, he's obnoxious.
it's
But
ugly.
I liked how the Vulcan girl came up and she was like, "Congratulations," and then just left. And then the other girl's like, "I
Yeah,
hate this." Made me laugh.
yeah. That was good.
I thought the scene with the kid Kurland and Picard in the hallway was like pretty good.
Yeah. So the whole end of this, like with Picard and everything, is really good.
Yes, I agree too.
Like I really enjoy it. I really enjoy when Riker comes in and he's like, "Oh, that's an amazing opportunity," and
Yeah.
Picard just looks at him and he's like, "Oh, you haven't made your mind up yet."
And he's like, yes, I have. I'm going
Here's
for a
a,
walk.
I'm going for what? Yeah, and he gives that one kid some good advice.
Yeah, he does like this really great middle of the road thing with him where he's like he's kind to him and he's like endearing and like gentle with him, but then he's also like, yeah, but I am the captain and like don't forget, like I have like a responsibility to the ship. Like this wasn't just like a nice thing. Like what you did put me in a position where I had to do this because that is my job. That's my responsibility.
Yeah.
So like yes, yes, I'm glad you're okay and yes, you'll learn from this and grow and be a better person. But like also realize
hmm
that that wasn't a good that like that was a bad thing that you did.
Yeah, and he even says like, "Thanks for saving me," and he's like, "Well,
Right.
that's my job. Next time I'll let you blow up. I don't give."
Yeah, and I
You
like the
better
part.
hope Starfleet's on board next time you try one of these things, or I'll let you blow up.
Yeah, and I like the part where he comes into the room and Wesley is like, "I'm sorry, sir, that I failed you in the Enterprise." And he's like, "Ridiculous."
Ridiculous. I always knew you were an idiot. Well, Wesley, you can't disappoint me because been nothing but a constant disappointment the whole time you've been on this
The
ship.
whole time.
Anyway, why don't you go put on your formal uniforms and get your stupid idiot butt down to dinner?
Yeah.
Put in a good word for me with your mother.
I hear she's getting over the fact that I
Ah,
killed her husband.
yeah.
And in fact, so are you, Wesley.
Yeah, that's a funny scene too. I don't think we touched on it, but when he
Yeah,
was
no.
like, "Oh, I'm scared of not being able to help somebody because my father he had to make a choice, and that's why Captain Beca well, never mind."
Yeah. Interesting.
Oh, foreshadowing.
Who knows? Who knows?
Who who knows how his father died? Not me.
I thought, though, it was a really interesting idea to have Picard want to stay on the Enterprise to help the children he so calls, quote unquote, dislikes so much.
hmm
Like, it was an interesting beat that, like, because when he says it, like, he tells Kurland, like, it's his job. And then the kid walks away. They kind of do the zoom into him where he kind of has this realization, like, this is what I want to do. I don't want to actually go to Starfleet Academy. Like I want to be the captain of the ship and like watch over the crew.
Yeah, he basically realizes that like his job is to like take care of the ship.
And that's what he cares about
Yeah.
more than molding minds at Starfleet Academy.
Yeah.
Which is one of the funny things, and I think they touch on it in one of the TOS movies. It's like nothing against it. I'm not saying that Starfleet Academy is dumb. It's not. But I always am like, why would like Riker reacts to it very well. Picard reacts to it like, whoa, wow. But I always think like, why would you want to go back to Earth and like sit in a classroom and teach young people things
hmm
instead of like being on a starship out in space, like doing literally anything?
You don't know. I mean, I'm sure that there are people that like don't really enjoy the idea of being
Yes.
in space.
Yeah, there are going to be the people who like, just like in our society, there are people who enjoy being teachers than astronauts. Like, I get it. But it's just funny.
Yeah, it
It's
is
like,
interesting.
when he's already the captain and he's experiencing so many things, you wouldn't think he would be like, "Oh my God, a
What an
teaching
amazing
role."
opportunity for
Yeah,
me to
right.
not do the thing I enjoy doing.
Yeah. When the episode was ending and it was kind of wrapping up, I literally had this thought and I wrote it down. I said, "It is insane how palpable, like how evident it is that Roddenberry wasn't there that week."
Yeah, no kidding.
I knew that season one is like not great, and there's a lot of trashy episodes, and so on and so forth that we've talked about ad nauseum in the past. But
Yeah.
I've never watched this episode with the knowledge that Roddenberry wasn't here this week, that Maurice Hurley was taking over as head writer, and it's I don't know. It's worse than what we talked about a couple weeks ago that like George Lucas isn't, director of certain Star Wars movies. Like he's not a director of Rogue One, probably the best Star Wars movie, but
Hmm.
I don't think that that reflects poorly on him because it's just a different movie. Where having this guy be the head writer, I don't know, there's not a lot of TOS like look backs, and there's not a lot
Yeah.
of like unnecessary sexism and like over the top like woman stuff. And I honestly feel like some of the morals of the episode are stronger and more, they shine a little brighter than what he's put out in the earlier episodes of this season.
Yeah.
It's
I think you're right.
it's weird. It's just like I've never honestly as a fan of Star Trek never felt that way. It's not like I thought Gene Roddenberry was like the best thing ever, but the as time goes on, I more and more, especially in the next gen era, I'm just like I don't really get it. I think that this guy was really hurting the show. And it's his thing, that's
I
what's
know.
crazy to me.
Yeah, it is crazy that like it's his thing, he came up with it and he understands it less than like the fans of it. I don't know what to like even say about that.
No, yeah,
I think the times were just changing too quickly for him
maybe.
and he just
Yeah.
couldn't keep up with it. He didn't really understand like the new audience because the episodes that he is involved with are very much just copycats of
Right.
TOS and it's
Yeah.
like okay, there's a lot more interesting stories, and I just don't think he was a very good like storyteller. I think he had like some cool ideas as far as like space and that kind of thing, but it always came down to like three things was like racism really doesn't exist, women have the same rights,
Oh
and
yeah.
is there a God?
Yeah.
Those were his three story beats
Yes.
always.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that those are interesting concepts, but like that every week can't be the same episode.
No, I agree.
So it's like, even last week was a good episode, but like Home Soil is very much just a like reskinned
Yeah. Devil in the
TOS.
Dark. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a good episode, but it's like I've seen this before.
Right.
It's the same concept, just different actors, different planet, different alien.
Yeah, and like we've seen the evil admiral, right? Or like a jerk character on the bridge, but like it's
Yeah.
different. It ends up being different. It's he's not actually an evil admiral, and the guy who's
Yeah.
a jerk like isn't actually a jerk. Like they're just doing their job, and there's this kind of groundwork laid that maybe something weird is happening in Starfleet. And like also they show you things that we haven't seen before, which is like how do the people become Captain Picard? Like, whoa, well they go through this evaluation thing. They go through this test that Picard even admits that he went through and failed the first time.
Yeah. Don't you tell anyone. Tell anyone I'll kill you.
I'll kill you where you stand.
Yes, I did, Wesley. I want you to know that I failed the first time, then you and I have much now. But I didn't fail the second time. And if you do, by help me, God, I'll sleep with your mother.
Oh god. Well, that was generally the review of Coming of
Oh,
Age.
I
Oh,
really like Picard's formal uniform.
oh yes, the
Is this is not the first time we've seen it, but I enjoy it so much more than the standard
yeah,
uniform they wear. Like it's better.
it is a little nicer, yeah. Very good. Yeah, that's the end of our review. But before we end the episode, let's do the thing everyone's been waiting for. Caleb. 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 So, Caleb, who gets the Erica Ortegas Award for being the most unlikable?
Dexter. He sucks. I mean, he does a good job at his
Yeah,
job.
that's kind of the point, is he has to be terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. But then for him to expect to have a place on the ship, get out of here.
Very good. Next is the Elizabeth Cutler Award for being the most forgettable of the episode.
It always comes down to Deanna for me because shouldn't she have been able to like sense that this guy
Mm.
was testing Picard like Captain, there's something he's kind of lying about the purpose of why he's here. Like she should have known.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a good point to kind of bring up. Yeah. No, it's good. No, the funny thing is I was gonna say is literally Tasha has like one scene where Picard is
Uh,
like, "This is my chief of security, Natasha Yar," and she just kind of nods, and then she doesn't have a scene where Remick talks to her.
I thought he did.
No, nope.
Why, yeah, but
Talks
you
to
wouldn't talk.
Worf. He talks to Deanna. He talks to Geordi, Data, Riker,
Mm.
Crusher.
Well, I wouldn't talk to the head of security either. So
No, no. Why would you?
why? What the frick does she know? She doesn't know anything.
Yeah, he just makes the line or whatever, like, I've talked to everyone. You're like, oh, okay, sure. But that doesn't matter. I like the bringing up of what Deanna. Yeah, that's good. It's a good point.
Well, it's just like when the whole point of her being on the ship and it's not handled is it's always interesting to me. It's kind of like
Whoa.
having a chief engineer, but he's never in the engineering bay, you know? It's kind of the same premise.
Interesting. Next is the Mugatu Award for the best alien of the episode.
It's got to be Mordak.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah. He is cool. Benzites are cool. I like his tendrils on his face. I like the breathing apparatus. It's cool.
Yep. I like that. I'll never see him again.
Nope. Well, he goes on to do better and bigger things, you know? He
Good.
won.
He should.
Well, next is the Trip Tucker Award for the MVP of the episode.
Let's give it to Picard.
Yeah.
I really like his scenes with Wesley at the end. I really like him like deciding to stay on the Enterprise and telling
Yeah.
the other guy to like leave, basically. I really enjoy how he like put up with the investigation for so long, and then even he got to the point where he's like, "All
Yeah.
right, I've had enough of this."
Yeah.
Because even when Riker comes in, Riker's like, "Hey, so I should know everything that you know," and he's like, "Yeah, of course you should. Absolutely, absolutely you should." He's like, "So what about this?" And he's like, "I have no idea.
Right.
I don't know nothing. You and
Yep.
I are both in the dark."
Yep. And then Riker's like, well, if I'm in the dark, I don't want to talk at all. Yeah.
How can I do my job if you don't know how to do your job?
Yeah. No, that's a good choice. You may want to pick Wesley because it's a heavy Wesley episode, but at the end of the
Yeah.
day, Picard's the
My
man.
answer is never, ever Wesley.
Well, I think you picked them once.
Mm-mm. Not for MVP.
I think so.
I just fill in the audience with lies. I won't stand for it. The only thing I'm guilty of is letting this continue. Oh man.
Yeah, you definitely shouldn't go back and watch The Big Goodbye.
Oh well, yeah, but he saves everybody out of the holodeck.
Doesn't matter. You said it wasn't true, you big. Next is the Spock Award for the best line of the episode.
I like when he told Wesley that he failed his first test too.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, it was kind of like him opening up.
I failed my first test too, and
Yeah.
don't you tell a single soul.
If I hear any rumors, I know where you sleep. Also, I
Yeah.
didn't fail the second one, and next year you will test And if you do not succeed, you just stay right there and teach.
Well, next is the Shran Award for the best action sequence.
I'm gonna give it to Picard talking Wesley's buddy into bouncing off the planet.
Yeah, wow, okay.
I thought that was good.
Yeah, definitely.
It was definitely more action than him dragging an old guy out of the room and being like, "You can walk. Just walk."
I
No, I can't. I can't. I'm too scared.
I I did like that the guy shakes his hand. Like, thanks, man, for
Yeah,
saving
thank you.
me.
Yeah. Now, here's what I don't understand. Why do they on the base not just have a hologram in that room?
I don't know.
Why is this a thing that they have to like somehow scan his brain and be like, we have to set this up?
That was the test.
Yes.
A man could have died.
Theoretically, yes. You had to make a choice, and you did. There's no right or wrong about it. Your greatest fear has been that you couldn't make that decision.
Because of my father? Because Because someone made that choice. And my father died.
What if you don't have that stuff on hand? What if it's like, oh, I'm scared of Gorn. Wow. What do you have, a Gorn costume in the closet that you have to bring? Like the whole purpose is, and then Wesley's like, hey, this is really stupid. These guys could have died. And they're like, yeah, that's the risk we have to take for you to get over your fears. What? 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 That doesn't.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if it was real or not. I don't know.
I feel
I
like we
don't know.
just glossed right over that whole
Yeah.
part because it was
Oh yeah.
so stupid that I just now am remembering this happened, and I was like, I don't know. This is.
I don't know either. I don't know. I feel like it was fake and set up, and it may be a holodeck thing, but I also don't.
But I think he legitimately left the room, and they had that set up like in the closet, and they had the thing. Yeah, I don't know.
I
Yeah, but
can't
he almost.
imagine they're pumping like actual like liquid hydrogen into the like. I can't imagine
Uh,
that's happening.
but that's like what they describe is that is like that like that it was a real gas filling the room.
Maybe, maybe. I don't know.
I did like how they sprayed them all with like that fake snow stuff though.
Yeah, yeah.
That was pretty good.
Well, that sounds like I should ask you what gets the NX award for some sweet ship stuff.
I like seeing the shuttle pod.
Ooh.
You know,
Yeah,
and we get to see inside of the shuttle pod.
we do. Our first TNG shuttlecraft.
Shuttlecraft dos.
Very good. Yeah, I like it too. Next is the Porthos Award for the cheesiest thing of the episode.
I think it's Wesley going into the room there, and he's like all nervous about the psych test, and then he's like, "Oh, maybe they forgot." Like what?
I
Yeah, I
got
think
you.
that whole sequence, honestly, that whole sequence, like where he like drags the guy out, and the other guy's like, "I can't leave, I can't move."
Yeah.
And he's
Okay.
like, "You have to help me." And he's like, "No, no, I can't."
That's fair.
I think that's pretty cheesy. Like that's his fear. Like the whole episode kind of sets it up. Like, man, I'm so worried about this psych test. I don't even know what my fears are. It could be anything.
Right, right.
And then it's like I'm afraid of like this, like having to save one person and not be able to have the other guy
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cheesy.
Having to make the decision of who
Yep.
lives and who dies.
And obviously, you save the old guy.
Yeah, you save the guy who's paralyzed.
You save the paralyzed guy with the head injury who has served 80 years in Starfleet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the other guy who's a big wimpy baby and can't just
Yeah.
run out of the room.
Oh, yeah. You definitely
Yeah.
don't run over and turn the pipe off that's pumping in
Yeah.
the gas either.
No,
That's a
there's no
stupid idea.
time. No time.
It would have been so funny if he opened up the door and then, like that was happening, and then he was just like, "Oh man," and he just like shut the door again.
Shut the door. He's just like,
Oh
it's really
jeez.
bad in there. Help.
Well, I can't worry about this. I'm in the middle of a test.
Yeah.
This doesn't scare me at all, so this can't be my psych test.
Oh, the other guy in there can walk. He'll help him later. Well, lastly, Caleb's most excited, the one he loves the most, the Enterprise Award for the best scene of the episode.
I think it's when Riker comes in and talks to Picard about like the investigation being over. And they have that whole talk about like, oh, yeah, he wants me to do this thing. I like that. I like how Riker kind of comes to the realization that like, oh, but you're not gonna accept that, are you?
Yeah, because he's like, oh, congratulations.
It's one of those things where it's like he doesn't want him to go, but
Of
also
course not,
like
right?
you have to say like, oh, that's an amazing opportunity, Captain. That's great. Yeah.
I agree. It's a good scene, and I liked how they developed all of it. It was good.
Yeah. I enjoyed it.
Well, that concludes our review. So now it's your turn to go down to the comment section and let us know what you thought of the episode. Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you want more of it? And does this episode feel like season one is finally coming of age? Let us know down
Down
below.
below.
Next time on Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Well, next week's episode, let's see if Caleb is again pleasantly surprised when he watches Heart of Glory.
Sounds good.
I like it. So make sure you return to our channel next week when we cover that episode. We're looking forward to it. But as always, if you liked the video, like it. If you disliked it, dislike it. Share it with all your friends and family and Trek enthusiasts. Subscribe so you don't miss an episode and ring that bell so you don't miss an episode as soon as it comes out. I do that in honor of this being our 75th episode of the Retrek Review.
Oh my God.
And after this episode ends,
That's
make sure you go over to Caleb's channel. Caleb also has a YouTube channel called The Plastic Underground, and over there he has fun, cool prop tutorial videos. Him and I also do talk about other things that are not generally Star Trek. We do have the TOS movies over there, but let us know, Caleb, what you got on the horizon.
so if you're watching this, the Nerd Holes last couple days ago put out their 20 everybody, you do it every year. Everybody loves to tell you all about what they did over the year. So we did the same thing. We talked about the Nerd Holes, what the Nerd Holes watched and covered. And so that's pretty cool. So check that out. If anything stands out to you that like, oh, I'd like to actually see this full episode of them talking about this movie, then they're all right there in the playlist
They're
for you.
all there.
Yeah. We did a lot. We did a lot of movies. It's funny to me that we only went to like two movies in person
Yeah.
this
Yes,
year, but like we covered a lot of movies and franchises.
we did.
So there's tons of stuff on there. So check it out. I plan on putting out a few videos in January of other like actual underground stuff. So our build will be up.
Mm,
So you and I, a little behind the curtains, you and I are getting together here in like 30, 40 minutes to live stream a Lego build.
right.
So that'll be on the channel. If you are not at the live, you can watch us in the past do it.
what we did, we can tell you now. We built the orca from Jaws.
Yeah.
And perhaps Jaws himself.
You don't even know what we had to go through to get it. So
yeah. Well, make sure you go over there and watch all those fine specimen videos. When you go over there, give them a like, give them a comment, give them a suggestion, give them a subscribe. You decide.
nice.
We thank you all so much for watching. We thank Ed Mark Star once again, for being a Patreon member. It helps keep us happy and doing this nonsense every single week. So without further ado, Caleb, send us out.
Computer, show me my greatest fear.
No subscribers.
Utter aloneness.
See you guys.
Bye.
Goodbye.